The fluorescent lights in the old auto repair shop buzzed like dying insects, casting a sickly yellow glow over the cluttered workbench where she stood. Rain pattered against the corrugated metal roof, a steady rhythm that matched the frantic beat of my heart. I wiped grease from my hands with a rag that smelled of oil and regret, watching her silhouette against the half-disassembled engine of my beat-up truck. She was small, fragile in a way that made my chest tighten. Her fingers tracing the edges of a rusted wrench as if it might bite her. "I'm defective," she said suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper, cracking like thin ice underfoot. Her eyes, wide and haunted, lifted to meet mine. They were the color of storm clouds, filled with a sorrow so deep it felt like it could swallow the room whole. "Everything I touch breaks. My last relationship. I ruined it. My family doesn't talk to me anymore. Even this stupid job. I keep dropping things, forgetting orders. I'm just wrong inside. Like a machine with a faulty wire that shorts out everything good." The words hung in the air, heavy and sharp, twisting something deep in my gut. I had known her for 3 months, ever since she wandered into the shop looking for a part for her bicycle, her laugh nervous and her hands shaking when she handed over the cash. She came back every week after that, not for repairs, but for the quiet company. We talked about engines and weather and nothing important. Until tonight. The rain had trapped us here after closing, and now the confession spilled out like coolant from a cracked radiator. I stepped closer, the concrete floor cold beneath my boots. My hands itched to reach for her, to pull her against my chest and tell her the world was wrong, not her. She smelled faintly of lavender soap and motor oil, a contradiction that always made me smile. But tonight there was no smile. Only the suspense of her trembling lower lip, the way her shoulders hunched as if waiting for me to agree and walk away. "You're perfect," I replied without thinking, the words tumbling out soft and fierce, like a vow I hadn't meant to make. My voice echoed slightly in the empty shop, too loud against the rain. I reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair from her forehead, my grease-stained thumb lingering on her skin. It was warm, alive, and for a split second, her eyes softened. Hope flickering there like a spark in the dark. "You're not defective. You're the only thing in this broken world that makes sense to me. The way you laugh when the engine finally turns over, the way you remember how I like my coffee black with 2 sugars even though I never told you twice. You fix me every time you walk through that door. Don't you see? You're perfect." She froze, her breath catching in a soft hitch that sent a shiver down my spine. The air between us thickened, charged with something electric and dangerous. I could see the war in her eyes, the desperate want clashing with the fear that this was just another lie she'd heard before. Her hand lifted slowly, hovering near mine as if afraid to touch. Rain drummed harder on the roof, masking the rapid thud of my pulse. I leaned in closer, the scent of her enveloping me, the heat of her body cutting through the chill of the shop. This was it. The moment the engine of whatever we had been building would roar to life or seize up forever. For a heartbeat, everything hung suspended. Her lips parted, a fragile smile beginning to bloom, tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. "You really mean that?" she whispered, voice raw with emotion, her fingers finally brushing mine, tentative, warm, sending a jolt straight to my core. I nodded, my throat tight, the words I'd spoken settling over me like a warm blanket at first, then tightening like a noose. Because in that instant, as her hope bloomed so openly, so trustingly, I felt the mistake crash over me like a wave. I wasn't the hero here. I was the one with the hidden cracks, the nights I drank too much to forget the accident that totaled my last truck and the friend who didn't make it out. The mornings I stared at the mirror and saw my father's angry eyes staring back. The way I pushed people away before they could see the rot underneath. I had said she was perfect because in that moment, I needed her to believe it so I could believe it about myself. But perfect? No one was. Especially not me. And now she was looking at me like I had just handed her the sun, her defective heart wide open and ready to be shattered all over again, by me. The suspense coiled tighter in my chest, a cold dread mixing with the warmth of her touch. Her fingers laced through mine fully now, squeezing gently, trustingly. "No one's ever said that to me," she murmured, stepping closer until I could feel the rapid rise and fall of her chest against mine. The rain seemed to fade, the shop narrowing to just us, her storm cloud eyes searching mine for the truth I suddenly couldn't hide. I wanted to pull away, to confess that my words were a mirror I was holding up to my own broken pieces, that calling her perfect was my way of avoiding the truth. I was terrified of how much I needed her, terrified that my own defects would leak out and poison the fragile thing growing between us. But her smile was so genuine, so emotionally raw, that the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I cupped her face with both hands, thumbs tracing the delicate curve of her cheekbones, feeling the wetness of a single tear escape. The intimacy was overwhelming, her breath mingling with mine, the taste of anticipation thick in the air. "You make me want to be better," I said, the half-truth slipping out, my voice hoarse with the weight of the mistake I had just made. Because I had lied, not about her being perfect to me, but about believing anyone could be flawless in a world that ground us all down. And now, as she rose on her toes, her lips brushing mine in the softest, most tentative kiss, full of hope and healing and the kind of emotion that could either save or destroy us, I realized the real defect was mine. I had given her wings with my words, but I was the one who might clip them when my own shadows caught up. The kiss deepened for a moment, her hands clutching my shirt, pouring every ounce of her fractured soul into it, and I kissed her back with equal intensity, the grease on my hands staining her skin in dark smudges that felt like a brand. Suspense thrummed through me like a revving engine on the edge of redline. Would she see through me? Would this be the start of something real, or the beginning of me breaking the one person I had sworn to protect with my foolish declaration? When we finally pulled apart, her forehead resting against mine, breath ragged and eyes shining with unshed tears of joy, she whispered, "Then don't ever stop saying it." I swallowed hard, the mistake burning like overheated metal in my chest. The rain continued its relentless drum, but inside the shop, the real storm had just begun. One of emotion so intense it threatened to tear us both apart. I held her close, feeling her heart beat against mine, perfect in its imperfection, and wondered how long I could keep the illusion alive before my own defects shattered everything. In that single, suspended moment under the buzzing lights, with her trust wrapped around me like the warmest embrace and the coldest chain, I knew I had made the kind of mistake that could either heal us both, or leave us both irreparably broken.